The battlefield was full of smoke, fire, and broken bodies. On one side, the alien warriors of the Aethery Empire fought with glowing spears and armored skin. On the other side, humans used rifles, drones, and machines. It was not supposed to be like this. The two species had once signed a peace treaty, but someone had broken it. Someone had started a war neither side truly wanted. Asha, an elite warrior of the Aethery, moved through the battlefield like lightning. Her skin shimmered in the light, glowing with her species' natural power. Her silver-white hair was tied back, and her armor was scratched and dented from earlier fights. She had fought for 6 days straight, only stopping to treat her wounds. With what little energy she had left, her team was gone. Every Aethery squad around her had fallen. Now she was alone. She stumbled into a ruined building, breathing hard, her strength fading. Blood, blue and glowing, dripped from her ribs. Her vision blurred. She looked out from a broken window and saw human soldiers moving closer. Her body told her to run, but her legs collapsed. She had nothing left. No power, no team, no escape. She crawled to a quiet corner and sat down. She leaned her head back against the wall, feeling cold metal behind her. Asha closed her eyes and whispered a prayer in her own language. She didn't expect to wake up, but someone did find her, hours later. Inside a human outpost far from the battlefield, a soldier named Cole checked on a medical scan. He had seen something strange in the wreckage, a heat signature that didn't match any human soldier. Against orders, he had gone back alone and carried her out, not knowing who or what she was. Just that she was bleeding and breathing. He placed her on a medical bed. She didn't look like any creature he had seen before, but her body was similar to a human's. Her armor was alien, but her face, it was tired, bruised, and scared. She looked young, maybe his age, and beautiful in a strange, otherworldly way. His squad said to leave her, that she was the enemy, that helping her was madness. But he had already made his choice. She had muttered something in her language before going silent. He didn't understand it, but he thought maybe she was asking not to be alone. Cole stood by the window, watching the sky turn red with another faraway explosion. He didn't know if she would survive. He had done what he could, cleaned her wounds, patched her skin, connected her to machines that might help. Then she moved. A faint breath escaped her lips. Her fingers twitched. Her glowing eyes opened slowly and met his doubt. Her vision was blurry, and everything felt wrong. She was not in Aethery territory. She expected pain, chains, maybe death. Instead, there was warmth, a soft bed. A strange machine beeped near her head, and a human. She looked at him, and he looked back, but didn't raise a weapon. For a moment, no one spoke. She didn't know the word for thank you in his language. He didn't know how to tell her she was safe, but both of them understood one thing. This war had taken everything from them, yet something strange had just begun. Asha didn't speak. Her lips moved slightly, but no sound came out. The strange machines beside her blinked with soft lights. She tried to move, but her body felt heavy, weak, like stone. Still, her mind was sharp. She remembered the battlefield, the pain, the blood. And then nothing. Now she was somewhere else. Somewhere quiet. Cole noticed her trying to sit up and quickly stepped closer. He raised his hand slowly, showing he meant no harm. She flinched a little but didn't attack. That told him enough. She wasn't sure what was going on either. He spoke softly. It's okay. You're safe here. Don't move too much. She couldn't understand his words, but she heard the calm in his voice. Not the voice of a jailer, not a torturer. He reached for a water pouch, poured some into a small cup, and held it near her mouth. She hesitated. Then slowly she drank. Cole sighed with relief. That's better. You need to recover. You were almost gone. Her eyes studied him carefully. He was different from the other human soldiers she had fought. His eyes didn't burn with hate. They carried something else, confusion, maybe curiosity. But not cruelty. Asha touched the bandage on her side. It wasn't ethery material. It was human cloth, human stitching. He had healed her. Why? She forced out a raspy voice. Why not kill? Cole didn't answer right away. He sat down on a crate near her bed and looked at the floor. I don't know, he finally said. Because maybe not all enemies are monsters. She didn't understand every word, but she felt the meaning. She watched him closely. As he sat there, not running away, not afraid of her glowing skin or her alien armor. He wasn't wearing his helmet anymore. She could see his human face. He looked young, tired, honest. Name? She asked softly. Cole, he replied, then pointed to himself. Cole, she blinked, then pointed to her chest. Asha. That moment of sharing names felt heavy, like the start of something more than just survival, something human. Outside, the war still raged. The sounds of distant blasts echoed faintly through the walls of the outpost. But in that small room, it was quiet. A strange kind of peace hung between them. The next day, Cole returned with food. He had found rations she might be able to eat. Asha was sitting up now, slowly regaining her strength. Her energy wasn't fully back, but her body was healing faster than a human would. Cole watched her carefully, still ready to defend himself if she turned violent. But she didn't. She accepted the food. She even gave him a small nod of thanks. Later, when Cole stepped out to speak to command, he closed the door behind him and activated a secure line. His commander's voice crackled through the speaker. You brought her here? Are you insane? That thing is the enemy. She's not a thing, Cole replied firmly. She was dying. I couldn't just leave her. You're disobeying orders. That could cost you your career. Maybe, Cole said, but it might save something else. He ended the call before hearing the reply. Back inside, Asha was looking around the room. She found a small human mirror on a table and stared at her reflection. Her eyes, once fierce and wild, looked softer now, tired, but also alive. She didn't understand why this human helped her. But something deep inside told her this was no trick. He could have killed her. He had the power, the chance. But he didn't. She looked toward the door where he had exited and whispered his name to herself. Cole. Something had changed the moment she woke up in his care. Not just for her, but maybe for both of them. They were still enemies by blood. But war didn't decide everything. Not anymore. The next few days passed slowly. Asha stayed inside the medical room, resting on the soft bed while watching the strange human machines blink and hum. Her wounds were almost healed now. Her energy was coming back. But she didn't try to escape. Not yet. She wanted to understand. Every day Cole came in. He brought food. He tried to talk, even if she only understood some words. He drew simple things on a tablet. Her planet, his ship, weapons, food. Slowly, piece by piece, they started to learn each other's meanings. One afternoon, he handed her something new, a blanket, soft and thick, not army standard. Something personal. You looked cold, he said. Asha blinked, then took it in her hands. It smelled different. Not like metal or blood. It smelled like home. She wrapped it around her shoulders. She didn't speak, but she looked at him longer than usual that day. Outside the base, tensions were growing. More battles were happening. Both sides were planning final strikes. Cole knew the war was about to get worse. If anyone found out Asha was here, they would take her away or worse. That night, he heard voices outside the hallway. 2 soldiers from another unit were arguing near the med room. I heard something's off. Cole's hiding something. Probably just stress. That guy lost half his squad. Cole pressed his back to the door and waited until the voices faded. Inside the room, Asha sat quietly, sensing something was wrong. Her hearing was sharper than a human's. She had heard the voices too. She didn't ask questions, but her fingers tensed slightly on the bed. When Cole returned, she looked at him. Danger? He nodded. Soon. She understood more than she let on. You protect me. He smiled, but it faded fast. If I can. Later that night, Cole stood at the window, watching the moonlight stretch across the dusty ground. He had grown up believing aliens were the enemy, that they were savage, cold, dangerous. But now one of them was in his bed, not dead, not angry, just breathing, and something inside him had changed. He walked back to her bed and sat beside her. Not close enough to scare her, but near enough to speak softly. You're not what they said you were. Asha looked at him. You either. There was silence again, but it wasn't empty. It was full of meaning neither of them could fully explain. Suddenly, the base alarm rang. Lights turned red. A robotic voice shouted, "Unauthorized approach detected. All units to defense points." Cole jumped up. "Stay here. Lock the door." He grabbed his rifle and rushed out, heart racing. Asha stood slowly, her body ready even though she was still weak. Her warrior instinct returned like a cold wind, but she didn't follow him. Not yet. Outside, the base gates were under attack. But it wasn't aliens. It was humans. Mercenaries. Cole fired back at them, ducking behind a barrier. What the hell? He shouted. A voice crackled in his comms. They want something inside the base. They're not part of us. That's when Cole realized they had come for her. Someone had leaked the truth. Inside the medical room, Asha heard the gunfire. She felt her pulse rise. She didn't want to hide. Not anymore. If these humans were here to kill her, she wouldn't wait to be dragged out again. She removed the blanket, stood tall, and walked toward the door. She touched the panel and stepped into the hallway, slowly but without fear. She was a warrior. Even injured, even lost, she wouldn't go down silent. And somewhere out there, the one human who saved her life was now fighting to protect her again. Asha moved silently through the hallway. Her bare feet stepped across the cold metal floor. Without sound. Her body still ached, but her training took over. She followed the sound of gunfire like a predator, her glowing eyes sharp in the red lights. The moment she reached the outer wall, she saw them mercenaries in dark armor, firing into the base. Their weapons were different. Not military standard. They were fast, brutal, and not here to fight a war. They were here to steal something, or someone. Cole crouched behind cover, exchanging fire with two mercenaries across the landing zone. His rifle was almost empty. He didn't know how long he could hold them. His only thought was protecting the room behind him. He didn't expect the sound of someone landing beside him with a heavy thud. He turned and saw her, Asha, standing tall, her body wrapped in only the hospital blanket around her shoulders, and a broken piece of her old armor on her arm. Her face was calm. Her eyes burned like fire. "What are you doing here?" he asked, surprised. She looked at him, calm but firm. "Fighting." Before he could argue, she moved forward fast. She picked up a fallen mercenary's blade and launched herself toward the attackers. Her body moved with a speed Cole had only seen in reports. She dodged bullets, spun through cover, and landed her strike with perfect aim. One man dropped. Then another. Cole followed behind her, reloaded, and fired at the one she missed. Together, they pushed the mercenaries back. More soldiers from Cole's unit arrived. "Who's that?" One of them shouted, "She's with me." Cole yelled. That was enough for now. The firefight lasted 10 minutes more. By the end, 3 mercenaries had fled and the rest were down. The base was damaged, but standing. Asha stood in the middle of the field, her breathing slow and even. Her hands were covered in glowing blue blood, hers and red blood, Not hers. Her body swayed. She had spent all her energy. Cole rushed to her side as she nearly collapsed. I told you to stay back. You would have died, she whispered. He caught her before she hit the ground. He carried her back inside, back to the bed where this had all started. He laid her down gently and placed the blanket over her once again. You're insane, he said with a shaky smile. She smiled faintly. You saved me. I saved you. Later, when the base was locked down and the power restored, higher command arrived. They walked into the medical room and looked at Asha lying there, exhausted. They turned to Cole. She's dangerous, one officer said. You're lucky no one died because of her. No one died because she helped us, Cole replied. Helping one alien won't change the war. Cole stared at them. Maybe not. But it changed me. The officers left without giving a clear order. They didn't arrest her. But they didn't thank her either. The war was still going on, but something new had begun here. A strange bond. A fragile peace. That night, Cole stayed beside her again. This time he didn't speak. He just sat there, watching her breathe. The warrior who had once closed her eyes to die was alive again, not because of war, but because of a choice. She opened her eyes again in the quiet room. She looked at him. Will they come again? He nodded slowly. Probably. Then I stay. He looked at her unsure. Why? Asha looked at the sky through the window. Because I feel alive here. She didn't say more. She didn't need to die in the middle of war. An alien warrior and a human soldier had fought for each other, not as enemies, but as something else. Something new. Morning came with silence, but it was not peaceful. Cole stood outside the medical room, staring at the gray sky above the ruined outpost. Smoke still rose from the battlefield beyond the hills. The last mercenary attack had shaken the command structure. The humans were now debating whether to move the base or call in airstrikes. Everyone was tensed out inside. Asha sat quietly, her energy returning little by little. She no longer looked like a broken warrior. Her posture was straight, her eyes sharp again. Yet something inside her had changed. She was no longer driven by duty alone. She was thinking about choices. Cole walked in with food, as he had every morning since saving her. She looked at the tray. Not poisoned, I hope, he chuckled. You still don't trust me? She took the plate, but her eyes stayed on his. I trust you. Not them. That made him pause. She was right. He sat beside her. Command wants to move you to a lab. They think maybe they can study you, learn your biology, your tech. Her fingers clenched slightly. A lab is a cage with different walls. I know, Cole said. I told them no. She tilted her head. They listened to you? No, but I told them anyway. A long silence passed between them. Then Asha spoke softly. You could leave me. Let them take me. You'd be safe. He shook his head. I didn't save you to throw you away later. She looked down. You sound like my brother. You had a brother? Yes, he died on the third day of battle. Tried to protect a child, a human child. Cole stared at her, shocked. You never told me that. You never asked. Outside the room, a soldier approached quickly. Cole, he called out. HQ sent a shuttle. They're coming to take her now. They're not asking anymore. Cole stood up fast. How long? 10 minutes, maybe less. Cole looked at Asha. We need to go, now. She didn't argue. She stood without pain now. Her wounds were nearly gone. She moved with grace again, warrior instincts back in control. Cole grabbed a small emergency pack and led her through the back corridors of the outpost. The main hangar was heavily guarded, but there was a side tunnel damage during the last attack, leading toward the outer desert. Where will we go? She asked, walking beside him. I know a place. An old relay station, abandoned, off the map. Then let's run. Before anyone noticed, They slipped through the tunnel and into the dust-covered wasteland beyond the base. The sun was harsh. The ground was dry. But they moved fast, driven by one thought: freedom. When the shuttle landed at the outpost 10 minutes later, the officer stepped out and barked, "Where's the alien?" No one answered. One soldier simply pointed toward the empty medroom. "Bed." The officer's eyes narrowed. "Find them." But they were already gone. Hours passed. The sun dipped low. Cole and Asha reached the old relay station. It was broken, half buried in sand, but still had power. Inside, the lights flickered weakly, but the systems worked enough to lock the doors and keep them safe for now. Asha leaned against the wall, breathing hard. Not from pain. From freedom. Cole sat across from her, finally letting out a long sigh. "We'll be hunted now," he said. She nodded. "Then we hunt back," he laughed quietly. "You're serious?" "Yes," she said, "but not tonight." They both sat in silence again, the weight of the world pressing down. But inside the broken station, there was something else, something warm. They had no orders now, no mission. No army. Just each other. And the final battle still to come. Asterisk. 2 days passed inside the old relay station. The world outside continued to burn. The war between humans and Ether didn't stop, even though 2 of its soldiers, one from each side, had chosen something different. Cole worked on repairing the station's outer sensors. Asha helped him, using her alien tech knowledge to boost the power flow. Together, they made the place feel less like a ruin and more like a home. A strange, temporary home, but a home nonetheless. They didn't talk much about what would come next, but both knew it couldn't last forever. On the 3rd morning, Asha sat near a broken window and watched the distant clouds. She was quiet, her eyes calm but full of thought. Cole walked up beside her and handed her a drink. "You still thinking of leaving?" he asked. She looked at him. "No, I'm thinking of fighting," he frowned. "You've done enough of that." She turned to him. "Not that kind of fight, a different one." Cole sat beside her. "What do you mean?" "I was trained to destroy humans, my whole life, but you changed something. You didn't treat me like a thing. You treated me like a person." "You are a person," he said. Asha gave a small smile. "Then maybe it's time I remind both sides of that." That afternoon, a signal reached the station. An old emergency beacon, a distress call. But it wasn't from a soldier. It was from a group of Ether civilians. Trapped in a canyon by a collapsing ridge, a landslide was coming. No way out. Cole looked at the data. It's suicide. Too far. Too unstable. Asha stepped forward. "They're my people." He stared at her. "If you go, they might shoot you. They might think you're a ghost or a traitor. Maybe, but if I don't try, I'll be the ghost." Cole didn't argue anymore. He grabbed his gear. "Then we go together." They traveled in a stolen scout pod, silent, fast, low to the ground. Within hours, they reached the canyon. Dust and rock filled the air. The signal was fading. But the cries were still coming. Asha moved first, leaping across ledges, using strength and balance like a wild creature. Cole covered her. From above, guiding her by radio. She reached them 5 Ether, weak and afraid. An elder, 2 children, a wounded guard, and a young woman too scared to speak. They froze when they saw her. "You. You're dead," one whispered. "No," Asha said. "I'm alive. And I'm here to take you out." Before they could speak more, the ridge above them cracked. The mountain was falling. Asha shouted over the coms. "Cole, we need airlift now," he responded. "On it." The scout pod circled down. Cole opened the hatch, one at a time. Asha lifted the elder first, then the children. The ground trembled. Huge rocks crashed behind her. She pushed the young woman into the pod, then turned to the last, the wounded guard. "You'll never make it carrying me," the guard said. "You're wrong. she replied. She picked him up and ran. The ledge broke behind her. Dust filled her lungs. Her legs burned. She dove into the pod just as the canyon exploded behind them. The doors closed. Cole pulled her up from the floor. She coughed, breathless, her body shaking. But her eyes were bright, alive. The ether inside stared at her with tears in their eyes. The elder bowed his head. "You are not a soldier anymore," he said. "You are something greater." When the pod landed back at the relay station, a human patrol was waiting. But their weapons were down. They had seen the broadcast. Cole had sent the rescue footage to Command Human and Alien. It had gone viral. Asha carrying her own people. A human helping her. No killing. No war. Just survival and courage. It changed everything. That night, as stars blinked above, Asha stood beside Cole outside the relay station. "I was supposed to die that day on the battlefield," she said. "I closed my eyes, thinking it was the end." He looked at her. "You opened them in my care." She turned to him. "And I've been breathing ever since." In the distance, the first peace talks between human and Aetheri. Leaders were announced, all because one human refused to see a monster and one alien chose to live again, together.